Welcome back everyone to another session of Tauke Talks. My name is Cindy and I'll be your host today. So a little background on Tauke Talks. Tauke Talks is actually a series of sharing sessions where we invite small businesses in Malaysia to come and share about the motivation behind why they start their own business and their journey as an entrepreneur. Right? So Tauke Talks was started by RYSE. So RYSE is a Malaysian research and social outreach project that empowers youth through entrepreneurship. And RYSE is supported by Citi Foundation. So hopefully through Tauke Talks, we get to showcase and also expose Malaysian to the fact that entrepreneurship is not only limited to big companies, but it also is inclusive of small businesses everywhere you go and everywhere you see. Yeah. So hopefully through this Tauke Talks, you get to learn, you and the audience get to learn more about small businesses in Malaysia. And hopefully you can also go and support local through this whole series. Yeah, so I'm happy to welcome our Tauke for today, Syafik from Nanka. Hi, Syafik.
Hi, hello, Cindy. Hi, everyone.
Hello. All right, so to kick things off, Syafik, can you tell us a bit more about your brand Nanka? What do you guys sell? Where to find out more about you? How can I buy your products?
So, basically, we have been trying to, get ourselves very much into the mass penetration of the market. But of course, the pandemic poses a lot of challenges for us. We are now doing a very, what we call a DTC model, direct to consumer model, where we think that we could actually have a very direct experience of communicating with our customers. So we are focusing more on our e-commerce channels right now with our website, nanka.my, where we are selling directly to our regular customers. People want to try out our products. The latest stage when hopefully the lockdown has been is off by stages, then we are going into first community grocers. We do think that community grocers are basically the pillars of the economic activities in the society. So we do want to approach these community grocers first, getting to know what the communities around them are actually buying, really listening to the pulses of the societies around them. And after that, probably we will go to a bit more wider supermarket chains, specialty grocers, vegan or vegetarian supermarkets, as well as these big guys like Jaya Grocer or Village Grocers.
All right, thank you so much, Syafik. So in the next slide, you get to see the social media handles and also the website. So if you're interested to find out more about Nanka, what do they sell in particular, to find out more about the product that they have, please go and check them out via the social media or the website. Yeah. So thank you so much, Syafik, for the introduction of the brand. Now I want to focus more on your journey as an entrepreneur, right? Who you are behind the brand, the face behind the brand. So can you share a little bit about what actually inspired you, or how your journey was being an entrepreneur? Maybe you can share a bit about your background. Did you study business? How did you actually started Nanka?
Okay. Honestly speaking, Nanka is not my first business. I have at least failed miserably before trying to come up with my own, ventures. When I was growing up, since I was, little, the idea of entrepreneurship is quite foreign to me. I don't have anyone in the family, at least, to look up to. And my parents, they are basically just professionals. Sorry, my father is just a professional and my mother is actually a housewife. My father is actually an engineer with Petronas. So the idea of starting your own business is something that not being given enough or serious thought at all. And of course, a typical Asian kid, right? Study hard, work hard, perhaps get some scholarship, enter into a prestigious university, get a good job with a large company. Hey, been there, done that, right? And um, I think the innate sense of starting something that you can call your own was
Right.
lingering around my mind when I think started entering university along with my housemates at that point of time. It was like how about if we do something that we can call our own, right? Just do something that is we can do it on our own free time and do it with some treat it like a hobby. And of course, nothing gets done. When you're early 20s, you're just playing around. I was actually studying under scholarship at that point of time to with Monash University and pursuing a business and commerce course, majoring in accountancy. And of
Mm,
course, everyone is expecting me to become an accountant. And I was like, you know, this is so boring, man. Everyone is, basically having this kind of expectations. You sort of know what's going to happen to you next.
right.
That kind of bores me, right? So I had to, because I was under scholarship, I did it. And the few more years after completing my bond with
Mm,
the scholarship provider, was actually UEM at that point of time. Uh, Coming after that, I started to play around with, guess what? MLMs. Yes,
mm,
Malaysians. Who does not know about MLMs, right? It was actually my first, I would say, a horrid venture into trying to do a business on my own. Not just one, not just two, but three MLMs. Oh gosh. So it's something that you learn along the way, trying to get your hands dirty or burned for that matter, trying to get people to know the products of your MLM companies.
mm,
And I would say that, of course, that didn't end very well. And I just like maintain my day job, particularly in the pharmaceutical and
mm,
wellness industry. And interestingly enough, I took this liking of becoming very near to strategic planning or business development role. Not so much in a sales and marketing role, although I took some interest in it. And I attended a number of so-called entrepreneurs programs, private entrepreneur programs. And from that point on, I started really looking into arming myself with the right knowledge, right people, right motivation, slowly that psyche, entrepreneur psyche and psychology start to wear in on you, right? This can do attitude, believe there is no failure until you stop trying.
yeah.
Then I would say 2014 or 2015 was the year that I took the plunge. I started my own boutique consultancy firm. I handle about five healthcare clients at that
Mm,
moment, servicing them, and I manage. Basically, I was I became a business development consultant for them, and then I raised funds for my clients, and I managed to raise about close to 10 million ringgit for my clients. That was the heyday,
mm,
right? And I was really proud of myself, but you know, this is some kind of like yes, you can call it an entrepreneurship venture, but it sort of took like you working for your own and not having that self-organizational skills at all.
right.
I was working like 12 hours a day, sorry, 14 to 16 hours a day, and the so-called wake up moment for me was that after I was hospitalized
Right.
for working too long, right?
Mm,
And I remember at that point of time, I was asking my wife, "Is the screen of the laptop cracked?" I was asking her, and then she said, it looks fine." And I know that something wrong is wrong with my eyes. I started looking at myself in the mirror, and my face is like split in half.
mm,
I was like, oh gosh, this is something bad, man. Then I got
Mm,
myself checked, and I was hospitalized because the doctor said I was under too much stress, and I didn't have enough sleep. So along the lines, sort of pick up the having that self-love, maintain that health, and I slowly ease away from this consultancy business, and tried to look for something new.
mm,
And when we found out that there is a technology developed by a local university, basically developing jackfruit into a plant-based meat,
mm,
and we had a discussion, an early discussion with the university to commercialize it, and they sort of perhaps liked me for us to actually commercialize the product further, and we were selected to really take on it and further develop it. And I guess the rest is history. That was back in, I would say, 2017, and then 2018 we really focus on creating more products out of this base technology. And here I am talking to you guys now,
yeah.
perhaps 3-4 years already down the road. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing about where you began in your entrepreneurship journey. I think I'm also curious, and also I believe the audience is also curious because this whole plant-based meat is very new in Malaysia, or for those who are not vegan or not vegetarian, it's a new concept. Could you explain a bit about the product that Nanka sell, and how did you find out more about going plant-based? Maybe you can explain, or is the Nanka meat 100% fully plant-based, or is it mixed? Maybe you can explain the whole process to us.
Sure, sure. Right. When we, taking little steps back to how we actually commercialize it and how we really find the passion to really develop this into at least a mainstream product, is that because looking at my family, both me, my wife, and my daughter, we really like fast food,
Mm,
and it's something that we chose on any other day. Let's go hit the typical burger chain, the McD's or
mm,
Burger King. But we do realize at the back of our heads that this is not good. This
mm,
habit is not good. All the things that they put inside all those burger patties, all this highly processed food.
right,
We do you know realize it is not really good for us, but we are doing it. We are eating it anyway.
right.
So is there something else that we can do, right, as a consumer? And looking at my 8-year-old daughter who's chomping away the fries, and you do not know how many times the cooking oil has been actually used, and the
Right.
amount of sodium salt that has been put inside it. So you need to take a step back and assess, okay, how can I do this better?
Mm,
Is there something that we can contribute as a part of a consumer society? And when we found out about this technology, we were like really excited, and finally we
mm,
can do something that contributes to the well-being and health of the people around us. And when we first started out, the product is actually quite horrible. The patties taste like more like a condensed version of biryani rice. So it was bad, and we know that we really have to work on with a number of parties to really develop this product into a product that can be accepted by others. Malaysians, being Malaysians, we are all foodies. We love our food, but the thing is that with food, it has to be, it has to start with the tongue, right? It has
mm,
to start with the tongue before you can actually get all fuzzy and warm with save our animals, save the environment,
yeah.
put healthy stuff inside your body. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We all know that, but still, um, tongue is taste is king. Taste is king, right?
Mm,
And so we work on that. And when we first launched, we sort of stick with the ones the technology has actually really focused on, which is, interestingly enough, a mixture of 70% jackfruit with 30% or less animal meat, right? So
Mm,
it is either chicken or beef. And you would say like, oh, okay, why still mixing, right? You want to go all vegan, all vegetarian, all
mm,
plant-based. There is somewhat a contrarian approach to this. We do believe that before you can actually be 100% at something, you want to start with at least 30%, and then
mm,
50%, and then 70%, then go all the way to 100%.
mm,
We do provide this so-called a window, or a phase for you to actually look, or at least consider, if you do go plant-based a bit in your diet, in your lifestyle, how would it taste like? Can you see
mm,
any changes in your body? Can you feel any difference, how the way you are eating?
mm,
So we do believe that this we are providing this some sort of a platform for people to try, at least, and,
mm,
and peek into this 100% plant-based food diet lifestyle that we want to people to actually basically aim for.
mm,
And the thing is, the products that we actually put inside our mix with animal meat, we are not using any of those ultra processed and hard to pronounce ingredients that they put inside all this,
mm,
typical fast food chains. We are using very lean meat, and then the quality and freshest ingredients, that our mothers want for us to actually eat, right? So that has been our philosophy. We wouldn't want to eat something that we don't want our family members to be fat, right?
mm,
And along the way, like I mentioned, we work with a number of food technologists, R&D scientists.
mm,
We further develop more robust and very, very realistic looking in terms of taste and texture for our 100% plant-based meat patties. And that was earlier this year. We finally made that breakthrough.
mm.
And yeah, now we have like vegan rendang, vegan satay, vegan meatballs, happily chomping away. Yeah.
Right. So Nanka is for the customers, it is a stepping stone into a healthier lifestyle.
Yes.
Right. All right. Thank you so much for sharing and clarifying on that. So my next question is, with creating something new in the market or creating something that people have never heard before, I'm pretty sure starting a business alone has its own challenges, right? So can you
Sure.
share a bit about the challenges you faced when you first started this whole Nanka, or when you first launched your first product, maybe?
Right. Okay. We are basically entering into a category that's already congested with a lot of other brands, a lot of
Mm,
other products that are taking specific positions in the market, right? You would have the mass produced products, you would have the premium products as well. And of course, when we launch our products, we took the form of burger patties, as we believe that this is something that everyone in Malaysia, or not just for Malaysia, everyone
mm,
around the world would identify with. Burger patties or burgers, like everyone love burgers. At least have tried once in their life eating
yeah.
burger, right? And if I mention serunding or meat floss, is that something popular? You can argue not that as popular as burgers, because serunding or meat floss is the first product actually the technology developed, and we don't think this is going to sell. First
Right.
off, is something that is pretty seasonal, and you only get it during the festive seasons. So we developed it in something else that we believe is something that can more be accepted by the general population, or at least our
Mm,
targeted segment, which is burger patties. But of course, like I mentioned, you got like thousands of burger patties already in the market. And the thing is, when you are already entering that congested market and you're selling a different message, you're positioning yourself differently from others, of course people would, by any means, they will actually try to compare you with the products already
Mm-mm.
available. And because we are trying to get everybody to normalize eating burgers
Mm.
in your daily lives, you can't really help to be compared with the big R brand, the
Right.
ones that has been selling in in most street burger kiosks out there,
Right.
and not helping the situation. They're already selling it very, very cheaply.
Yeah.
I think it really goes with the the quality of the product. It really goes with the positioning, right, and the convenience that comes with it. I think if people can see that the food they eat is actually a form of investment of and something that they put more attention to themselves, people
Mm.
would actually stop and think, hey, I should stop eating this, and at least few spend a few more minutes preparing my own meals at home
Right.
using quality ingredients, fresh ingredients, right?
Mm.
And that goes along the philosophy that also we use the freshest jackfruit. We have this, I would say, a turnaround time. Within one day, within 24 hours, the jackfruit that has been plucked from the tree should be processed, cut, washed,
Mm.
boiled, and put into the mixer along with the other ingredients that for us to really maintain the freshness of the jackfruit.
Right.
And yeah, the so-called mission to really fight all this bad food already selling in the market
Mm.
really posed that challenge. And luckily enough, Malaysians, they do know, they are already aware of this, and a large group of the society are actually looking for this kind of food. And
Mm.
we are just, I guess, at the tip of a good food movement, I would say. People are starting to realize, and the pandemic, the COVID-19 still people investing more for their health.
Mm. Right.
Yeah.
So, is there any strategy that you kind of apply to, not to say compete, or to kind of get your brand more exposed to the public? Because you are quite new, right? So, how did you go around that problem?
Right. Okay. Um, we we really face I would say this attention. We sort of like lost in the white noise, right? These are
Mm.
what we call the age of uh, the attention economy. What we call the attention economy. Everybody's fighting for your attention. Everybody's fighting for your eyeballs, right?
Yep.
Social media. They are basically the pioneers of this. They really want people to spend hours and hours on social media, just doing whatever they're supposed to do, right? And with all this noise, we really need to have an expert to actually help you
Mm.
really stand out from the crowd,
Right.
crafting a really solid message that sets you apart from the herd, right? Um, I admit that we were somewhat lost. I was like really cracking my head. How can I
Mm.
put our products more into the limelight so people could actually hear us, hear our message? In fact, we've got one of my PR team here, Jenny, with us. She's actually listening during this live talk. Jenny is basically our PR associate, right? And through assistance of Jenny, we were featured more and more into all these media, mass media appearances and mentions, right?
Mm.
I do think that PR is an understated weapon for any business to actually employ or utilize in their so-called marketing strategies in a way. PR is some people PR could be like it's like marketing. I don't think that's really the case. PR is about it really backs the I would say the ideas, the most robust ideas that you have to actually communicate in a very short amount of time to
Mm.
your customers. What do you do? What are you? And why should I buy your products? Right? So PRs to sort of like force you to craft out that message to the general population out there and really take a stand, communicate your message effectively, and perhaps get highlighted in all this media. Of course,
Right.
your PR associate must be really really experienced to connect all the dots and with the right people, right? um yes, so basically I would say that working with a PR agency or PR experts would really help you to get your products out in
Mm.
from the white noise and sets you apart from the others.
Right, right. Thank you so much for sharing about that. I think now we're talking about the challenges, right? I also want to know more about how the pandemic has affected Nanka, right? With the uncertainty of the pandemic still going on, there is no certain end to it.
Yeah.
Can you share a bit about what were the challenges you first faced when the pandemic started, and how are you planning to maintain or maybe grow Nanka in the future?
uh, I would say honestly the pandemic um, bring us a lot more opportunities than difficulties.
Mm.
When we first started out a few years back, it was pre-COVID. We were just warming up with the idea of getting ourselves listed on Food Panda.
Mm.
We were already receiving awesome orders there, and voila, suddenly COVID-19, attacks the country. We basically were able to sustain ourselves through all these online orders through Food Panda and later Grab Food. Basically, what we took for granted initially, uh, because I was like, quite skeptic that Malaysians would actually order their food online. Honestly, even I was not really open to that idea myself. But then again, looking all these Food Panda riders flying around,
Yeah.
literally, right? I said, hey, this is something that perhaps Malaysians are already open to,
Mm.
and we quickly really grab a hold on how Food Panda works. What can we do further to promote our products, make our products more visible in basically in the market space. So I guess for us, it's more of trying to get our products visible on top of other products that are already available on the online in the online delivery space, right? Of course, you would have promotions from time to time, cross product promotion,
Right.
partnerships with other food vendors. So the challenges are more like trying to beat really the popularity of other food
Mm.
products in the online space.
Mm.
Um, I think. Yeah, it just pushed the adoption of this food delivery, and we were just looking into it, sort of pushes for to make ourselves more available.
Mm.
You know, it, right, earlier this year we are only available in Klang Valley, but now with a partnership with Crave.co, we are now available in the whole of Peninsula Malaysia. Right now we're talking to few parties in Sabah and Sarawak. um, yeah, it's something that the pandemic had actually created more opportunities than difficulties for us, really.
Mm. Right. That's glad to hear that the pandemic actually gave Nanka a huge push, right, to
Right.
to
Yeah.
grow further. Right. So how about any plans in terms of trying to maintain or maybe grow Nanka in the future?
Uh, Nanka is basically a brand, right? That we have developed with the products that we created, basically plant-based meat from jackfruit. Having in this space for few years, we have seen a lot of potential, a lot of other areas that we can look into, and one of them that we are really considering, sorry, we are really playing around right now is plant-based butter. Um,
Mm,
this is something that was actually another, I would say, accidental discovery when I was in in the Borneo Islands.
mm,
I think a few years back as well. There was this really unique fruit that's only available on the Borneo Islands that the
right.
locals even call this fruit butter fruit. And that's a literal translation, right? Basically, for that fruit because it tastes like butter
Mm,
typically, right? And I do think that this is something that we can actually push to the mainstream, getting
mm,
people to eat fruits and vegetables more, go
right.
more, adopt more plant-based products into their diet. Um, so we are looking into that. We are also looking at creating some plant-based snacks from jackfruit.
Mm,
It probably be another brand. We're not really too sure at the moment.
right.
And we have also tried toying around with creating plant-based pet food.
Mm,
We have actually tried giving some samples of our vegan meat to cats and dogs, particularly. But I think because cats and dogs are just basically the biggest, I would say, popular choice for pets, right?
yeah.
And so far, no cats and dogs have been harmed in the process.
Okay.
So I
Glad to
think
hear that.
we could see there's some opportunities there to create some better choices of products in the market for pets. Yeah.
Mm. So the plan is to hopefully scale the brand bigger or create another brand to support Nanka as well, right?
I would say different versions of Nanka,
Mm,
targeting at different kinds of market segment.
mm,
As a company, the name of my company that hosts the brand Nanka is actually called Iranoa. Iranoa is right now at the moment the facility that we have in Subang Jaya. We actually house, of course, our production line that produce all these plant-based meat products. We do house a cloud kitchen, a trading center, R&D facility as well.
mm,
What we're trying to do here is like a launch pad,
mm,
perhaps what we call an incubator. We're
right.
trying to get food entrepreneurs, right? A taste of how it would feel like having a food business on your own without forking that much investment upright,
Mm,
right? We didn't have this back in the day when we first started. I remember that when we received, once in a while, some big catering orders for our
yeah.
burgers, ordering like 100 burgers, right? We just couldn't find any commercial kitchen that could actually take us in for us to prepare our burgers.
Mm,
And of course, the cloud kitchen concept, it was only made popular, I think, one year less than 2 years ago, right? And with this kind of, I would say, shared economy, we are really trying to offer the entrepreneurs, especially in the food and beverage space, a place for them to at least test out or validate their idea in the safe space that we have. We are trying to work with your typical customer segments in the market. We can help people to test out your products. We
Right.
are working together with supermarket buyers, convenience stores owners,
Right.
right? We would have once in a while food and food technologies researchers with innovations of their own that can actually boost the product profile, right, in any way possible. Um, we are working together with business coaches, mentors
Mm.
that could actually provide insight and advice for these food entrepreneurs to further have a clear mission, a better product that fits the solution that they're trying to offer to the problem they're trying to solve in the market.
Mm.
So Iranwa, that is basically the big project that we have
Mm.
as a company, and Nanka with all these, I would say, horizontal expansion for the brand.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing about that. I think from what I'm hearing from you is that, let's say if I would like to start an F&B, right? R&D, in your opinion, is very important, right, for F&B business, right?
Correct. Very, very
Okay.
important. It's something that it may sound like R&D. Do I have to get a scientist to come in? No, you can do your own R&D. At the end of
Right.
the day, you are your first hurdle. You should be very critical of your product, but not so much until you land yourself into this, what we call analysis paralysis, trying to
Mm.
get the so-called perfect product in the market. Um, I'd rather fail early
Right.
rather than fail later with a lot of the investments that I have put in. So you should see the products with first of all that minimum viable concept MVP, what we call it. That's something that is workable, acceptable, and when you offer it into the test market, people would give you some certain feedback. Then you can
Mm.
quickly take it back to the drawing board, do some iterations, improvements to it, and quickly put it back into the marketplace and see how the responses are. If you don't hear any complaints, if you have repeat sales, then
Mm.
voila, suddenly your MVP 2.0 is something that people have been looking for, right?
Mm.
And perhaps to your surprise, your so-called perfect product is perhaps like MVP 5.0, which
Right.
is something that you have to invest more. I would say that this is something that um, a very strong and robust concept that every entrepreneur, not just for in the F&B space, should
Yeah.
adopt before they launch their products.
Right. Thank you so much for that tip and also explanation to all those aspiring entrepreneurs. Like with every entrepreneur, I feel like everybody, even if you're not an entrepreneur, you reach a roadblock or you reach a point in life where you need inspiration, right? So being an entrepreneur yourself, could you name one entrepreneur that actually inspire you, and what about that entrepreneur that actually inspires you?
Okay. Um, it has always been from day one. Timothy Ferris, or
Mm.
Tim Ferris, as his pen name. This guy who he wrote the book um, 40-hour work week, right?
Mm.
So his basically goal is to only work for 40 hours in a week. So it's basically he explores this concept where you don't have to burn the midnight oil to become an
Mm.
entrepreneur. You don't have to do everything on your own, right? He really stretch the concept of outsourcing,
Mm.
leveraging on skills of others. um, so when I read the book, it's still here. I do refer to it once in a while because it does give you the idea on trying out new business concepts with the least amount of cost possible, right?
Mm.
And you can actually do it now with this advent of technology around you. with the internet connectivity and availability of really cheap talents, like Fiverr.com, like
Mm,
freelancers. You can actually employ all these, I would say, gig workers, very, very cheaply, competitively, and
mm,
you don't really have to crack everything on your own. And you don't have to design logos on your own, as long
mm,
as you would have already a certain, I would say, a mission or a position that you would like to take in the market, and really knowing what kind of problem that you want to solve,
right.
then that's already enough for you to start with.
Mm.
Yeah,
Right, thank you for that. So if anyone's interested about that, you can search up Timothy Ferris, right?
yeah.
Right. So if I know a lot of young people will be tuning in into this talk, and a lot of them will be interested in this topic. But as an entrepreneur yourself, would you encourage or would you suggest young people in Malaysia to start their own business?
Definitely, yes. I would say, of course, taking leave from the story that my personal life story there back there, I didn't take the plunge early. It was more of, working in the pharmaceutical industry and gathering all the strength and I would say the wits that I have and before taking the plunge. If I can actually go back in time and
Mm,
tell myself, Shafiq, you should start your own business, I would just, storm the apartment that I was in when I was studying in university, like, dude,
mm,
start something, right?
right.
Because in your university years, or perhaps fresh out of graduation, you are just full of vigor. You're just so full
Mm,
of inspiration, so full of energy. But it's somewhat, because I do remember the feeling is that, oh, I have to work in the 9 to 5 thing. um, I hate waking up early in the morning anyway, and I hate going into a place that at the front there is going to be stuck with traffic jam, right? Doing the same thing repeatedly every day. I don't like that. So I like something that is dynamic, fluid, that changes
yeah.
every day, and entrepreneurship seems to just fit that bill very nicely. So I would say that for the young people out there, find something that you have passion in, right?
Mm,
It doesn't have to make money in the first place, right?
right.
And be honest to yourself. Just because somebody is selling, craft products out of their dorm, or out of their backyard, you want to
Mm,
do the same thing. It's just something that is you really have interest in, because
mm,
it really shines through how you communicate about your products, how you communicate about your business, to other people when people ask you about it, right?
right.
Um, so it's have that passion, because this kind of passion that gives you energy when everything doesn't go your way.
Right.
It's what that sustains you, right? It what that drives you, even though you're not seeing any so-called returns from your early entrepreneurial venture. And that is perhaps the first thing that I would want to say to my younger self. At least, rather than spending money trying to modify my first car, buying all these fancy clothes, and really entrepreneurial ventures gives you the opportunity to be a better version of yourself, right? Be more efficient,
Mm,
stop procrastinating, right? Have more confidence in yourself, presenting yourself in a more, I would say, friendlier attitude, or easier to approach kind of attitude, right?
mm,
Um, Communicate effectively with others, negotiation, right? How you
mm,
actually try to get something cheaper, or easier,
mm,
convincing other people to buy your products. Yeah, it's somewhat, gives you the opportunity to really dig down deeper and become a better version of yourself,
mm,
even if it's sad to fail. But
right.
you know, the business probably failed, but you as a person, you have grown. You
Mm.
have grown, and basically, it's I would say it's not a zero sum game. You would have achieved at least something in the
Yeah.
early stage of your career, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Syafiq, for sharing and answering all the questions I have for you. Sadly, we only can take one question for the audience, so we're going to move on to the Q&A. So the audience asks, being a startup, what's the competitive advantage of Nanka compared to those well-funded Impossible Meat Foods or Beyond Meat in the US?
Right. This seems to be a very popular question, even among the investors that I have the opportunity to pitch to. Um, they are always asking this so-called unique position that me as a this really small underdog guy,
Mm.
jackfruit-based meat startup from Malaysia trying to beat 120 billion worth of company from US. It's quite simple, because you do know, first of all, Beyond Meat and Impossible are not using jackfruit
Mm.
in their ingredients. You have to actually play something that they don't have, right?
Yeah.
And of course, all the fancy plant-based meat. If you really look into the industry, there are already so many versions of plant-based meat right now. So many positions you can take. You don't even have to look at Beyond Meat. Honestly, I'm not intimidated by them. First of all, because they're just too expensive here in Malaysia. Um, Up to a point that I don't think that their pricing point is acceptable. Sorry, Beyond Meat Impossible. It's a very high, I would say, point of entry, even for the discerning consumers, right? So people will tend to look more into something that they would like to try, at at least something that they can just spend once or twice just to try the product, right? And if you really look at the products that they offer, these guys, they come all the way from the US. They are Westerners, right? And how we position ourselves, hey, I'm an Asian. I know my Asian dishes. I know my Malay dishes, my Chinese dishes available here that I've eaten, the Indian dishes, and we know how we can actually develop our products to accustom to these dishes that we typically enjoy as Malaysians. And these big guys, they don't have that, right? So that's how we actually, one angle that we can actually create more presence in terms of this ready to eat dishes that we are already offering to our consumers in the market. So yeah.
So knowing your unique selling proposition as a small business is very important,
Yeah,
right?
you have to really go guerrilla. You have to find that one thing that is, it's like a David against the Goliath, right? You
Right.
just keep hitting on that weak point repeatedly, and these guys were like,
Mm.
okay, I'm not going to even bother compete with Nanka on this space. I'll just leave
Yeah.
that space. Maybe
Right.
that space is small, but hey, at least I'm generating some revenue for myself.
Yeah. Find your own niche market.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for answering the audience's question. Well, now I think from today, I think a lot of people get to learn a lot of things. Especially, I've learned a lot about business and about how you view entrepreneurship. That for everyone, that was Syafiq from Nanka. So if you're interested to find out more about Nanka, please go and check them out via the social media, or most importantly, their website. I think what I learned today is how you view challenges and how you view the world of entrepreneurship, right? I can hear that you're not scared of failure, and failure to you is a positive thing because you get to learn something out of it. And going into entrepreneurship is a step that is fruitful whether you fail or not, right? So I think a lot of young people can learn from that and hopefully get to apply it in
Exactly.
their lives. Yep. So if you're interested, once again, please go and check out Nanka out. And
Yes.
get to learn more about their product. So if you're interested in Tauke Talks and you've enjoyed this session and would like to join another Tauke Talk session, our upcoming session, which is next week, is we're interviewing Fia from Hako Neko. So Hako Neko is actually a pet fashion store. So they create fashion accessories and essential for pets. So if you're interested, please go and register via the bit.ly that is on the screen. Yeah, and also RYSE recently just launched a postcard competition called the Spirit of Malaysian Taukes. So what is this competition about? Is in conjunction with and inspired by Tauke Talks. So if you're inspired by this session and would like to draw a postcard for Syafik to share about and celebrate his experiences, please go ahead and find out more about this competition. So you get to draw a postcard and write a short message to Syafik on how he inspired you. Yep. Oh. So if you're Malaysian from age 16 to 28, you can definitely join this competition and there's prizes to win. So if you're interested, please go and find out more via the bit.ly /TSOMT 2021. Yep. And if you've enjoyed this session and you'd like to find out more of what Tauke Talks have to offer or what RYSE program would have to offer, this is our social media, so you can keep updated with our upcoming programs as well. So thank you so much, Syafik, for being here today and sharing your journey with us.
No worries, no worries. It's been a lot of pleasure for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us today and have a good night. Bye everyone.